Alrighty. What up, everybody? Back with another episode of Let's Talk Traditions. This time we got episode number 8. Let's talk love.
Yeah, love's an important tradition because it's the tradition that allowed us to transform our inner nature to the type of like nature that we're trying to exhibit most here in the 21st century, but kind of fail to do, right? So, love's a state of being that I can choose to have for somebody else, um, and that's that choice to love or that feeling of love that if we chase that we could find ourselves having like the furthest future like we could obviously have killed ourselves off in World War II, but the difference between killing ourselves off completely and saving ourselves was the difference between having love and not, from my perspective.
Right. Yeah, no, and one thing, like, even once we came up with this, like, the topic, one thing that I was, like, thinking of was, I forget if it's, like, a comedian or someone that was talking about it, but they were basically saying, like, it was, like, the joke was about, like, kids being, like, badasses, but essentially he was saying, like, kids aren't, they were telling people that kids were taught hate, um, along the lines that I can't remember. I'm fucking it up, but essentially though, it was just like kids aren't born loving; they're born little mean little fuckers, And you have to teach them love. You don't
Hmm.
teach them hate. You teach them love or whatever it was. So
Yeah.
that shit just had me thinking about that when we were like prepping for the podcast or whatever. And but yeah, no, I definitely like the topic, man. And I think it's something that's like important to just the world that we live in, like just loving something, loving someone, like what the actions that come with that
Yeah.
lead to, like, I don't know, betterment of a person.
Well, like the for me as a philosopher, the way I look at the world is through actions. Like as much as we want to try to put like words and language to things, the type of words that seem to be most true is like it's snow's white only if snow is white,
Mm-hmm.
type thing. Like if the snow's falling and it's white, then I could say the snow's white. But that's a much bigger like language game in relationship to what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Like I kind of lost my point there. You know what I mean? A little embarrassing, but no, like the types of love that we have right here in the 21st century, like and what it means to have love at all. Like one of the tenets of love is forgiveness. Like it's one of the deeper ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could have love because just having some weird relationship with somebody, like you're my parent, right? But
Yeah.
the type of love that you can get to have with somebody when you forgive them is the type of love that's the most transcendental type of love, right? So it just kind of just shows that there's types of love out there that aren't just this type of love that we have in the Hollywood sense where like two people fall in love and they can't stop thinking about each other and their whole life involves each other. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? There's a type of love where, I don't involve myself in your life. I try to stay away from you because, whatever it is that's going on for us in relationship to the best you doesn't work for either one of us. So through love, I try to stay away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 21st century, like, and relationship to the type of like lack of traditions, or I would say misalignment with traditions that we have, right? We don't have a greater sense of love. We just have like a very poor sense of love. Then that leads us to a place where we have a bad sense of community, you know?
Yeah, no, that makes sense because I don't know, people aren't like, then in that case, people wouldn't be walking around like with, you know, others in mind, or like caring for how their actions impact others. I feel like part of
Mhm.
love and part of kind of being in an environment that has a value for love and loving others is just like realizing how your actions impact others, and either caring enough to either change your actions or, like, kind of co-create a space where you guys have a better understanding of each other. Otherwise it's just real, in my opinion, it just feels like that it's just a heated environment, or environment that could spark up in terms of like violence or fighting or arguments, drama, without
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, we can look at like the set of language that we've applied to the actions called hate, right? And that's like fighting and killing and all that. Like, then think about that into relationship to like, let's say having a functioning community, right? Okay, let's say I go and kill someone through jealousy in our tribe, right? And we have 1 month before harvest. Who am I most likely to be jealous of? Probably one of the more productive people in our tribe. You know what I mean? And so like I kill that dude or lady or other person before, a 1 month before the harvest, and we're supposed to be doing all this work and getting ready, you know what I mean? Because fall's coming. And now
Right.
look at all the time that we're gonna have to spend on this problem without everybody just loving and forgiving, like immediately doing this higher order principle. We're gonna spend all this time trying to like get retribution, and that might actually kill the whole tribe, right? So like each level of hate or like negative or bad type of behaviors that we've labeled out, right? Jealousy, anger, sloth, envy, all those type of things lead to types of behaviors that slow down the cohesion of the tribe, right? When we're all trying to survive against like a crazy and wild reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of us don't know what it's like to go get our own water. But like when one dude had to go get the water and one person had to go get the firewood and one person had to go hunt,
Right.
if all of us were mad at each other and we all hated each other, that's a whole different ball game than if we were all kind of like singing a song in our head to go get the job done, with
Yeah.
like knowing I'm going to come back to the fireplace and it's going to be warm both with heat and community.
Right. 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 Yeah. No, that's dope. So I guess I was trying to think of a question too, just like in a way that. So what would be a way that I don't know. In what ways can we build a society like that that has a greater value for it? From our standpoint, where we are today.
Yeah, I've been exploring this question a lot recently. I've been doing a lot of religion talk with my friend Siam, and we've been exploring a lot of the esoteric values that are, latent within this transformative uh, tradition, right? So, I'm trying to get to the language so that we can talk about like religion as a tradition or transformation as a tradition, because those are some of the more important traditions. But in relationship to love, the point that I'm looking at the most, and I think the one that we need the most here in America, is forgiveness. Like, if I was really practicing forgiveness, I couldn't get in arguments with people because I've already forgiven them for who they are. Like,
Mm,
if I was really doing it, like by the time the person's opened their mouth and they've said flat earth, I've already had forgiven them before they said the stupid thing in front of me. And so
yeah.
now I can figure out the way to love that person
Right.
away from their viewpoint versus like ultimately we anytime we're showing that we're like intelligently superior to somebody, we're not doing the right thing. Like I know coming from Travis, like, oh my god, you know what I mean, like, oh, I wish he would act that way, but like no, it's really like anytime someone who seems to be of one of the members of the tribe who we can give books to and they can go read and come back and tell them, anytime that person's acting like they're something better, they can't understand you because you're stupid, that person's now not being like loving, they're like an asshole. Like they
Yeah.
can totally understand and help you speak more. And so
Right.
that's what
Right.
like certain ones of us should be doing. And so when it comes to forgiveness, if we were all practicing it, like even the flat earther like might learn that they don't need to bring up flat earth at this time, because my
Right. Right.
friends, I forgive them for being blind to the truth of reality. Like they happen to like living in their flat or their round earth world. And so I'm going to work to support them today. Like I'm
Mm,
not going to come crashing into their parade and trying to explain to them and pull their whole carpet of reality from underneath their feet. I'm
yeah.
actually going to like just hang out with them because I love them. I don't need to
Right.
like change what they think about the Federal Reserve.
Right, right. No, for sure, man. And that's valid too, even with like strangers, you know what I'm saying, and like community members, because like there's been times where, someone has said something like that's like completely foul, to me at least. And, my response to it wasn't from a place of like, oh, I hate you, now it's time to tear you down. You just gave me a window. There's a whole list of things that I could do, with that information that was just presented to me. But instead I come from a place of like as you say, forgiveness even before like they fucked up, or that they even realized it, because I didn't know, what kind of energy they were, coming with. We're just having a basic conversation, but then to kind of make it about race and to make it, hyper negative towards me and aggressive, it's just like, oh shit, all right, are we going there? So for me at least, it's like I'm a be a little empathetic. Like, all right, maybe this is an accident. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give him a chance to clear it up. And if they don't clear it up, then it's a space for me to either take it where I want. If he doubles down, it's like, nah, I said what I said. You a dirty black crunchy whatever. It's like, all
Yeah,
right, for
yeah,
sure,
right.
bro. All right, then we go there. But at least like at the start, I don't assume like the absolute worst. It's just all right for sure. Like, I don't agree with what you said. I don't appreciate it. Like, what I'm saying, I'm gonna express myself um, in a space of, but not coming from a space of hate or anger. What I'm saying, because of that. Maybe they are, or maybe that person was or wasn't. But at least for me, my reaction ain't gonna be that off the jump. It's like get clear
Yeah.
about what's up, and then take a direction.
Well, I mean, we've all like, I mean, is it hate? I don't know. Whatever. Like we've all met that person at the bar who just wants to fight us.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, yo, bro, like no matter what you say, what you do, you know what I mean? It's just leading down one direction, right?
Yeah.
Then there's also that person at the bar who's like, hey, bro, say sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that nigga telling you to say sorry is coming from a place from forgiveness a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's trying to not get us to a place where anything happens other than us continuing this social scene together. Like there's
Yeah.
some continuity of engagement at like the high level there, right? Instead of just it dissolving into like, hey, you dumbass, you know what I mean? And then back and forth, back and forth, back and
Right.
forth,
Because it could be easy.
inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, right. But like, and so like, as long as someone's like, anyway, um, yeah, because like right now, the thing that we most need, like after the Capitol riots, I've been thinking about this a lot, right? Is forgiveness. Like, unfortunately, like we want to go and be like, yo, these people were the craziest white supremacists in the world. Da, 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 da. That shit's not true, bro. The Tuskegee experiment scientists were the craziest white supremacists in the
Yeah.
world. The people who went and did the Pfizer vaccines in South America and gave all them people HIV and herpes, those people are
Yeah.
these
They took
people.
selfies and like took
Yeah, yeah,
took
they were doing some fuck.
memorabilia home.
Yeah, these people are unfortunately our brothers and sisters who happen to have like from like my perspective, sorry, these are our brothers and sisters who happen to need the most help.
Mm.
They're looking for leadership. They're looking for people to love them. And when
Mm.
we act all smart to these people, we make them feel insecure. Then they go get on the internet and then they find people who aren't acting like that towards them.
Yeah. I
And
remember.
unfortunately, those people gas them up because these are the types of cousins and stuff like that who we always had to watch out for. These are the brothers and sisters we always, hey, you see your brother over there and he's hanging out with that group of kids you don't want to hang out with, and they got him up on the ledge and he about to jump off and you got to go stop your brother.
Right.
That's the kid who stormed the Capitol Hill. And we got, instead of having anybody stop the kid and say, hey, bullies, you stop fucking with them, because Mitch McConnell and Ted Cruz and Putin are all the bullies, right? And then
Right.
and then all the kids who get bullied are now all rounded up and they're given like a pseudo social group. They think that they're together, right? But like they
Mm-hmm.
really go home by themselves. Like all the people from Capitol Hill weren't like hanging out at a bar nearby. They all
Right.
went back to their individual hotels and got on their individual flights. And if they found themselves on the same flight, that was just by happenstance. And even then, they were just shouting Trump, Trump, Trump versus engaging in like a, hey, my friend, oh my God, how are you? Like love. There wasn't any love there,
Yeah.
for a lot of them. And so the type of forgiveness that we're going to need going forward, the type of forgiveness we're going to need go forward is exactly the type of forgiveness that'll help us create a better world, because it's the type of forgiveness that we're going to need to bring those type of people away from this white supremacist, like kind of mind control machine, and towards real American dream and prosperity, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
those of us who can recognize this thing happening with those type of people, we can't just go and like, hey, so did you know that algorithms are changing your self-reference network to make you more hackable by third parties, so that your way that you go and inference yourself is a completely different way than you would do it, so therefore your actions are different. And if your
Right.
action that complete we've lost 99% of the people out there, right? Me talking like that, right? Those people need me to act in such a way that they just want to learn from me. Like they just inside of their head, they go, yeah, Ted Cruz said this, but Travis said this. As long as they can have that little bit of debate. But the way that we're acting right now, like without like having like a mass, like society of love, we're just only letting them go to Ted Cruz because the way we act inside their head is such a way they're like, dude, fuck that guy.
Right. So, and
I
would you say
fucking
like
hate the
that's
I hate the liberals. Yeah. Well, what do you think I hate the liberal scum means? What is like let's peel it all back. Those are people who aren't speaking articulately trying to say something. And what are they really trying to say? Well, none of us actually sit down with each other enough to go find out what the person we perceive to hate us is actually saying. So even the people who are supposed to be innocent and these other people are white supremacists and they're trying to kill them. But what type of work are you trying to do to like prevent them from being that way? You
right.
you, you kind of seem to want them to be that way the most.
Yeah,
At
no.
least because like you go talk to them and you talk to them and engage with them and they're like all of a sudden you're not a black person and they're not a white person and you're two people talking about the 21st century. It's a really crazy head trip. You have to even escape being black to talk to some of these people because they're so far advanced in what they're looking for freedom, and they're so primitive in their like who they are inside of our social group. They're literally the guy who can get tricked into jumping off the cliff when you probably shouldn't. You know what I mean? That they
Right.
just need friends.
No,
Hey
that's very
Travis,
true.
hey Travis, what you think about this video? You know what I mean? And by the time I've actually watched the QAnon video, and I've actually sat down with my friend and went through his questions. He's no longer QAnon. Why? Well, because none of the QAnon people sit down with me like Travis does,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Because reminds me of a convo I think we had in the past where you were just talking about. I think you used the example of like inviting them to the party. It's like, if you never
yeah,
at least invite them to the party, um, then they just had that like bitterness and like the resentment about it.
yeah, man, you've seen me every time you come over and there's people over, bro. I got everybody there. You know what I mean? I got a
Mm-hmm.
punk rock dude, I got a yogi, I got a black dude. And I'm trying to put all these people in contact with each other so everybody has a self-reference net like point for themselves, right? Of somebody else. Because like if
Mm-hmm.
I'm like living on a farm in rural Alabama and my uncle's out there on the tractor talking about, them niggers out there trying to always rob you and this, that, and the other thing, and the only thing I've ever seen is the sunset and my racist uncle.
Right. Yeah.
By the time I see an actual black person, I'm gonna be a little confused. And
Right.
if the black person doesn't have love and forgiveness in their heart, guess who makes the self-fulfilling prophecy for Uncle Cletus?
Right. For
The black
sure.
person.
Yeah.
Like unfortunately it's at that level. I have to be of a Martin Luther King level character. They're going to beat me up, they're going to act violent. It doesn't give me any excuse other than to act exceptionally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to fight back. I'm going to be what we need to be in the future, even though we're in the past. Like those people are clearly proving we're nowhere near the future. And me trying to have to do it myself definitely proves humans haven't evolved because like I have to do like a lot of work to not fight back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure.
But I need to have that humbleness and that grace to myself if I'm going to actually be able to save our like society and our culture. And like I mean, it just sucks that we're that disconnected from each other, that people don't realize that the reason why white supremacy in America is going up is really because we're not doing enough work inviting enough people to parties. And I'm not saying black people need to invite
Yeah,
these
but in
white.
general,
It's
because like when you talk about like cancel culture, what I'm saying, it is a thing that exists
bro.
within like what's in our community that will kind of excommunicate a person from the community, if you will, and kind of leave them either on an
Yeah.
island or to go find other people with similar interests.
Unfortunately, cancel culture is leading directly to the Capitol Hill riots. Like, as much as we want to blame the right wingers for stepping in, like the void, um, like Jackie, when you defeat an evil, greater evil steps in the void. You know what I mean? Like, we keep thinking we're defeating these evils. You know what I mean? Oh, I defeated the evil of racism by cleaning up all the white supremacists on Twitter. Then they're on Parlor, and you have no idea what they're doing, and it's just them talking. You're not there to actually intercede and say, hey, don't jump off the cliff
Right.
because you segregated yourself from them.
Yeah.
See, like me, bro, like remember when I told you I was like, yo, bro, I finally found where they went. I found the other
Yeah.
YouTubes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I spent like 3 days crying because I found all my brothers and sisters and what they were thinking again. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because like that's just been removed from mainstream, whatever mainstream internet is. That's so
That's
like the
weird. Yeah.
fact that we've allowed mainstream internet to become a thing shows how much we hate each other. Like the internet was supposed to be so wild and free that like it's not supposed to be structured, guys. It's
Right.
not. Like
Just
the
became
minute you
too
start putting
accessible.
filters, whose filter do we put on the internet? And then if we put one filter on the internet, it's like this fucking long circular reasoning type thing. But like eventually we just filter the internet. Like no, like we need to have a free, open communication space. And I need to know where the white supremacists are. Like it would be nice to just go to sleep hearing what they have to say about the world so that I can wake up in the morning and start making the counter argument in love. Not, I mean, logic for some of them, but love for all of them. These motherfucking black people out there, all they want is, welfare, this, that, anything. Okay, well, what I need to do is I need to start a company that goes down to the rural white areas and teaches them about welfare, right? Gets them signed up for the programs because when all of them are signed up for the programs and it's working for them the same way it works for the inner city people who have these programs,
Right.
they're no longer complaining about it. See, they're literally complaining about not being added to the program as new people are added to the program, right? If you're actually paying attention to what a lot of these rural, quote unquote, racists are saying, right? I don't think they're racist, and they're,
It's layers to it.
yeah,
I feel you.
you would have to see why they speak the way they do. Most of them aren't there because they really think that they're the genetically superior person in some type of race war.
Right.
That's not their argument. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The argument is literally like, my daddy was a coal miner, my mama was a nurse. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, this Mexican comes over and now they got dental and my teeth hurt.
Hmm.
Like their teeth literally hurt and this person's teeth hurt and they can't put together because no one's telling them why the world's structured the way they are. They're not helping them get the dental the
Hmm.
way that they helped that person get the dental and they feel left out.
Yeah.
And so if you just include these people, they might actually have different arguments about what they're saying about the world because part of the argument that they're getting is they're left out of the system and then Ted Cruz is telling them, "Hey, the Mexicans are why your teeth hurt, right?" No, Ted Cruz, you're why his teeth hurt.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, Medicare for all, everybody. Hashtag that.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
You feel me? And what I was gonna what I was gonna say is like in terms of just like bringing about this whole idea of like a community of love. I think like just living in a space where people can coexist, so you don't necessarily agree all the time. You know what I'm saying? There are disagreements, but at the end of the day, there's like a level of understanding, like that's you know my that's my brother or sister from and they come from that perspective. It's just kind of ultimately what you were talking about before with the whole flat earther thing. It's like, yo, all right, I love you, but we just gonna vibe on this level. You know what I'm saying? We gonna focus on things that are this and not really take it to spaces that cause us to either go back and forth in a
Yeah.
negative way, or you just understand, practice a little empathy in terms of like kind of where that person is coming from. Obviously, like if it's some super off stuff, where you're trying to commit like some genocide, obviously that's not the type of disagreement I'm like talking
Yeah.
about. But if it's like, yo, spaghetti over tacos, like what I'm saying, and it's stuff that's
We got
not
many days
necessarily
going forward. Let's just compromise.
right, yeah,
Spaghetti tacos.
right. I'm no for sure. I'm for sure somebody got spaghetti tacos on the menu.
Yeah, yo, let me get that chicken parm taco, bro.
Mm, yeah, it's America. You feel me? I'm sure it's
Yeah,
a
somebody's
combination of
somebody's
everything
done it.
somewhere.
There's a food truck out there like today's my day.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, hopefully, you know what I mean. I
For
always have
sure.
like inflated ideas about how big my projects are.
Right, no,
Like, there's
hey,
some guy actually gonna hear our podcast and be happy.
right, for
It's
sure.
like,
Like
fuck yeah, dude,
yeah,
spaghetti
I'm gonna
tacos.
drop
I've
the
been telling
video.
everybody.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
he's
drop the
like,
video with hashtag
bro.
spaghetti tacos. He's gonna be on Instagram and see it and shit.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, bro, I've been telling people since the '90s, man. He's like, this is gonna catch on. Mom, Dad, spaghetti tacos. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
We
but
got the
like
homie
even in
Zaire
that sense,
Sedonis in the chat, man. He just saying what up.
oh yay, man, how you doing? It's been a while. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because
Yes, sir.
yeah, I use COVID to duck off and run away from everything and make sure I get my projects done because
Right.
I'm one of those like 90 projects at a time people. So now I have enough time to do it all.
Right. Other homie saying San Nam is in here. Siam.
What? Oh, Siam, hey, what's up,
Yeah.
man? Yeah, come through, bro. You know what I mean? We'll have a discussion about things later on.
sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, I talked to Siam about well, we talk about love, isn't that right, Siam? We talk about the concept of love and how it, in all of its different forms, can influence being, so that we can have maybe greater unity in a direction when we find ourselves as a directionless creature, right? Because
Mm.
nobody can prove which direction we should go in or prove which direction we're coming from. So, maybe we can all agree on an orientation and head that way together. And so we talk about that type of concepts.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, right. The deeper concepts of religion. If any of you guys have ever listened to my poems, we're getting to the esoteric meanings of them all. Um, but like, I mean, like when it comes down to love, like this is how it really goes, right? Um, the difference between Cain and Abel. I did this at one of our at Miami's Tempe speech thing that you
Oh,
did.
the artist for change.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's like, like what's the difference between Cain and Abel? Like why was like Cain bad and Abel good, right? Well, like think about like a person who's angry, right? You're just like hunched over and angry, right? And then think of a person who's like given up on anger and kind of like blissed out a little bit on like maybe even just the concept of God, just love itself, I choose to love right now, like think about the body language, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who would you rather, if you were a little kid, walk up to? Okay, now if you were like a woman, who would you rather walk up to? Okay, if you were a dude, who would you rather walk up to if you were looking to get into a fight?
Mm.
You can really put yourself towards different people because of the body language that they exhibit and they exude, and their
Yeah.
body language shows a lot about their internal attitude about life. And so what Cain didn't sacrifice that Abel sacrificed was the negative internal feeling towards having to do daily labor. It
Right.
doesn't fucking matter if you're the meat guy or you're the vegetable guy or you have to go get the fire or you have to go get the water. You know what I mean? We have to work as a community to get one job done, and that's survival. Like there's
Right.
not multiple jobs going on. There's just one job, survival. And when you're not making the right sacrifice, you can see how Cain the entire time's playing the wrong game, and it's always going to lead towards killing Abel. Man, he's over there, all the women and children. Like, just think about it. He's like hunched over, looking at them all strange. They look over at him like, hey, should we invite him over? But he's got like this, he's talking shit about them in their head. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you don't never invite that guy over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh my God, he scares me. But
Right.
if somebody could get out there and love this dude, you know what I mean? You might be able to bring him to where he doesn't kill Abel. And I think that's a bigger message than the one that we hear in the Bible, right? If one of those people in the tribe, if Cain wasn't, or if Abel wasn't so blissed out, he might have been able to love his brother more. I don't know if there's more story out there, because there always usually is more story than what you get in the Bible, that
Mm-hmm.
answers some of these questions I'm bringing up right now.
Right.
But just exploring the concept, right? Like right now, we're in a time where ultimately the Abels are going to have to take it upon themselves to realize they got themselves murdered.
Mm.
Cain's not going to get it.
Yeah.
And then the only thing we can do with Cain is play a different game, knowing that he's going to kill us. We can't
Right.
just go like, oh, I did the right thing getting murdered. No, we left the women and children with Cain for 72 generations, and they kept warring. That's not.
Right.
Yeah, that's the message. If we don't figure out how to love correctly, you're not supposed to be, I think, like looking at the clouds, bringing all the women and children around you.
Right, yeah, and I feel like bringing it back to the idea of forgiveness, like for sure, is imperative to that, because it's just like a lot of the times, that they get isolated or they are isolated, like you were mentioning, like the body language, but you know, it could be that one thing that they did that wasn't so bad that that again in the culture it's unforgivable, you know what I'm saying, or they just are deemed weird, so it kind of cast it off, and that like that isolation definitely just like we were talking about earlier, man, it just allows for people to either go find other groups of people that kind of value that, or it just leads them to just kind of go off in their own space. But I'm of the kind to like at least try to bring people into what you have going on, and and just kind of learn about them. Be empathetic to like their story, their background, and where they come from. Because like I was talking to some dudes the other day that are from like the the middle of the world, what I'm saying, where to them like
And you
we
believe
were
in
both
Hollow Earth?
huh No,
Yeah,
no, no.
everybody. Dom believes in hollow earth. He
Out
thinks
of the middle
niggas
of the
come.
world. I mean, the
He
U.S.
thinks
The middle
niggas
of the
come.
U.S.
He thinks niggas come from the middle of the earth.
They in the core. No, no, no. But like, nah, the middle of the U.S. somewhere, and like his thing was like he didn't grow up around a lot of black people, and I was like saying,
Yeah.
where I'm from in L.A., it's a lot of Hispanics, it's a lot of black people, but not like a lot of like white people. When I was
Hmm.
coming up, and I started to meet different white people when I got to college here in Arizona. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't have like a whole bunch of like negative energy or like what I'm saying, like generations removed from like when shit was really that way. But like things that he was told coming up about like black people just kind of made him like super nervous or scary, or
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
how images were projected on either TV, entertainment, news media outlets or whatever. But it took through his own like experiences with people, what I'm saying, like, oh shit, all right, it's not like that at all. It's just you know how that either content or media was fed into the homes or whatever, what I'm saying, kind of forced that perspective on them, or even their parents, for that matter.
Yeah, man. How people's perceptions are shaped up by media and family is kind of the game that we're talking about here when it comes down to interacting with people in the 21st century and
Right.
who's really responsible for the world that we live in. Unfortunately, we live in such a world where my racist cousin's going to probably end up on the internet by himself, and that's my fault. Like, as much as he was racist and embarrassed me, this, that, and the other thing, I needed to play the long game with him. Like, there's a much longer game of love that I need to have to play with people whose ideas that I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't just throw them away, hoping that I'm going to find a group of people who are, eventually they're going to realize, oh my God, I wasn't hanging out with Jesus himself. If I would have just believed in social justice, and I would have gave up my racist ways, I would be into heaven. That's not how it works. You know what I mean? Like, people have to feel a part of a community. That's what the social justice argument is. Like, people don't feel a part of communities because of microaggressions. Like, if you guys just applied your own logic to yourself, you'd find out why a lot of the racist members of our society aren't necessarily racist, and they got ostracized and left behind by the people we call our intelligentsia or our most caring. Our most caring are kind of vicious people,
Right.
or at least seeming like they're seemingly most caring is what I'd have to say, right? Because at the end of the day, when as many people are as left behind in our social network as there are, even if the networks and third parties and Illuminati and people from the middle of the earth and all that stuff were
Yeah.
trying to play us against ourselves, at the end of the day, like, you still have the ability to try to do your best. Like, so what if the world was Nazis and you find yourself in a concentration camp? You can still find how to be a transcendental human being. You can make like the light of the world shine in the right way. You can make sure that we have an example of what a human being is against homo sapien ways. Like, no matter how many black people are in slavery, you could still try to run to the north and write literature and not form an army to head south, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no matter how many times you're beat up or sprayed with hoses, you could still try to march to Washington peacefully and leave peacefully and not enter the Capitol building. No matter, like, you know what I mean? Like, on the days that people in the past went, like the Me Too movement, there was way more people there. They could have done way more, but they didn't enter the Capitol building because the love that we have for each other had, like, that type of protest had love and forgiveness in it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the type of love and forgiveness that we need to have in the 21st century, because it doesn't matter how hard the circumstances are or how much people are playing against you, or no matter how bright the billboard was or how addictive Las Vegas was or how good the cocaine was or how strong the alcohol was. You still have to not do all that stuff, like, you don't like it just because the alcohol can't get any better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not gonna like make 30% alcohol more 30%.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, like, it's not like, but like, so you're always gonna have to not drink. Millions of years from now, that's still gonna be available to you if we still have livers that function like that, you know. um and so you're always responsible for who you are, and being responsible for who you are, you could choose to form yourself up with like love as the like at the heart of your being,
Mm-hmm.
where you're trying to forgive yourself and others for how hard reality is, you
Right.
know. Or you can have hate inside your being, where you're trying to remind yourself and others how stupid this all is all the
Mm-hmm.
time. You're just kind of constantly trying to remember, like, yo, this is of suffering. This is so dumb. We always die. There's no reason. There's no, you know what I mean? Like, that's a perspective. And one of the two perspectives is going to outcompete each other in the long run. And if people who hate reality just stuck to themselves, we would see who really outcompeted each other. You know, it'd be like the people of love just kept loving, and the people of hate just took themselves out real quick, and then we didn't have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But like if they stick around and like mope and, half-ass order their coffee, you know what I mean, or like cuss out the fucking cab driver, or like,
Right.
beat up their family because they get drunk, like those type of people uh have hate at the like hate for self or hate for others, or hate for reality at the heart of their being, and it's like real apparent how they act, you know.
Yeah. No, yeah, no, I get where you're coming from too. It's just like just going back to what we were talking about before. It's like that guy in the bar. It's the guy that's gonna give you the response. The one that's looking to fight, and then it's the one that's looking to get the apology. And it's kind of
Hmm.
one of two attitudes. In terms of how you go about it. Depending on what side you're sitting on, um, and for like the topic of love, it's just I don't know, man. It was a good one for us to pick just because of like right now, like
Yeah.
especially coming off of like the secession talk and talking about passing down of power, but like passing power to a young person. That young person should be a leader that leads with love. You know what I'm saying, or with that
Yeah.
type of mindset in mind, so that we're not passing power to well in our election we didn't pass it down to uh those are two old guys, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
in a different sense though, OGs passing down information to their little homies, mentors to mentees, however you want to phrase it. It's just making sure that,
Well,
oh go ahead, yeah.
oh no, I was gonna say little kids watch us, and they think differently than we do about how we act. And when you have Trump as our president and Biden as our president, they can see the difference between being of hate and a being of love. They
Mhm.
can see that clearly. We can all see it.
Yeah,
We just
very
choose
true.
to ignore it. You know, we really choose to ignore that type of stuff. But ultimately, I'm happy to be back in a place where love's our leadership. Like we can get love wrong. Like you can be wrong, and there could be heavy critique in love.
Mhm.
We can even get all the way to the place where I think you're absolutely wrong. You shouldn't really be here proliferating those ideas. You can even say that, without saying I hate you. You know what I mean? Like you
Mhm.
could like toe that line. You get real close to fucking it up. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
we could disagree in love. We could disagree in hate too. The difference between disagreeing in love and disagreeing in hate is the difference between war and peace.
Mhm. Right? And I just feel like you caring about the other person enough to like either help them get it or understand where they're coming from. I feel like if you're coming from a place of hate, like you don't necessarily care too much of where they're coming from. It's like, yo, my way, or or fuck you, or it's my way, or oh, you're stupid. Like you're just one of those. Like you know what I'm saying. But if it's somebody that you actually have love for, then you are kind of empathetic to like that perspective. Sometimes there are cases where you're super passionate and you want your loved one to like get to where you are, but like I feel like with love there, you're a little more patient in the process of like getting through things.
Yeah. In the transformation of ourselves, love is a mode of being I can choose to have for the world. Like I
Yeah.
can look at, um, I can look at myself with doubt, or I could try to like here's the way I like to say it, right? Like, or like I got this from Robert Anton Wilson, but like, he says write winner scripts for yourself. Like so many people write loser scripts. Like, this week was really hard and I wasn't able to do too much, and ultimately I hope next week I do more, right?
Right.
Okay, that's a loser script. Write a winner script. This week was really hard. I learned a lot. I got out alive. I'm happy for that. Next week's going to be dope. I got
Yeah.
more to learn. It's the same sentence, the same thing you're saying, but
Right.
one of them's a loser script and one's a winner script, right? Winner scripts have self love in them. You know what I mean? If you're writing winner scripts for everybody, uh, the problems in the United States are to such a degree that these are the exact lessons that we need to learn so that we can encode them into language and literature so that we can carry forth these tenets so that we can build out the world going forward so we can go to multiple planets, right? We're in the final stages of learning what we need to learn so that we could write it all down in the right way for the first time, right? So that we can actually leave the planet and set up whole new parts of ourselves, right? Like whatever we're doing with China and the Uyghurs,
Yeah.
how the United States is going with the Native Americans, how the, Israel Palestine, all that is just one process in humans learning what we need to do next. Wow, that's a winner script. We can solve the problem here. Now, if
Right.
this is humans being a virus and we're a cancer on Earth and this is the way it's always been, come on. There's nothing there. There's no
Right.
action. There's no need to do anything other than just like watch the world burn.
Right.
So like through love, you can actually find yourself participating in something, and through hate, you can just be on the couch flipping the channel, talking
Right.
shit about the characters you see.
Yeah. No, I know
You
what you
know,
mean.
at least through love, you could be a character.
Yeah. Right. So, uh, what would you like to close with?
um, hmm.
Something
I
good for
think
the
that I
people
just
to
want to
meditate
drive
on.
home. Yeah, I just want to drive home the point. Like, I don't like let's say you have a family member and you want to show the world, you want to make the world a better place. And that family member was absolutely horrible to you. You don't have to spend a fucking day with them after you do it, but forgiving them fully means I understand what you've done. I forgive you for what you've done. I understand that you're in a process of our transformation as a species from animal to whatever the fuck beyond an animal is. Like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, we're very much Homo sapiens on our way to being human, but what is really a human? What's beyond animal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I can forgive somebody for being in transformation. That doesn't
Right.
mean I need to spend time with them. It doesn't mean I need to forget what they did,
Yeah.
but
Right.
I need them to know that at the end of the day, I pray for their best still,
Right.
because like that's the only way they're going to ever really truly have what it takes, because like ultimately you can like we want it to be, we're like, oh, I fucking hate you, you're the worst piece of shit, da 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 da, and that's going to like make them a better person, but really what you did was empty their tank, and now they don't have any energy left to transform.
Right. Right.
Yeah, your love is going to be what's going to give them that little boost if you do it in the right way. Now I'm not saying enable them. Don't ever enable anybody who's ever fucked you over or who's shown hate to you, or I mean anything like that. But you can show them mad love.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's deep. Like mad love is like the okay, like what? It's like the nun who goes and visits the guy who killed all the children in the village every day and like reads him the Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's she doing there, right? Well, what she's doing is offering the ultimate level of forgiveness to this dude. If humans are in transformation, if I can get this Homo sapien to admit its mistake and
Yeah.
to accept its punishment for making that mistake, then we've reached where it's true for everyone. Everyone could be a human being. And she
Mm.
knows or he knows the only way to get that killer this way is through love. I cannot go there and beat them up for it, right? I have to show them through love, get them to realize the mistake they made.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
if I can do that, then I've proven that humanity is a thing that can actually exist, like that this
Mm-hmm.
transformation of personality or transformation of being, or ontology, whatever you want to call it, right, is capable. It's there, right? And we've
Yeah.
proven this too many times by now, right? Here in the 21st century, I'd almost call it like we could do a scientific proofing of love versus hate when it comes down to radical transformations of acceptance of responsibility in relationship to community,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think
right?
that like what you were talking about too with the whole when the whole forgiveness thing, and just I feel like a part of that too, in addition to what you were saying, is like you forgive for yourself as well, so that's not taking up so much real estate, you know what I'm saying, in your mind at least,
Yeah, yeah,
cuz like that, even if that person, like, they got their own process to come to terms with what they did, or whatever's going on, but for you, forgiving them also allows you to kind of move on from that, not forgetting, as you said, and not kind of enabling them, and not like moving past it, or like, in that space, but for it to be holding you back in any way, in any mental capacity, or what I'm saying, preventing you from physically taking action in your real life, what I'm saying, to do things like, I feel like, what you threw out there, that's immediately where my brain went to. It's like forgive for you as well.
yeah. Well, that's ultimately the person who you are forgiving for, right? You don't want to, like, even if that person is not going to learn the lesson, like you going down into the prison every single day, and they're coming up with new creative ways to fuck with you, and they do that all the way to the day that they were executed while they're cursing God. You know what I mean? Okay, like you forgave them the whole time. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
standing there watching some dumb monkey creature be a dumb monkey creature, and at least you, in your heart and soul and being, in the grand narrative of there's at least one person in the room,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because like you could like play his game and believe his world, right?
Right.
That this is all stupid and meaningless, and you can act any way you want, and rage and ugliness is the right way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, that's not going to get us to anywhere other than like really inevitable places. You know, the place with the most possibility for adventure is going to be the one that's available through love. I'm gonna let
Yeah.
you have a turn. Like I know what
Right.
it's gonna look like if I take all the turns, but what happens if I take half the turns
Uh
and
huh.
then I learn for the rest of my turns how to help other people with their turns?
Yeah.
Because like maybe I was really good because I was just young and I wasn't paying attention, and like I'm starting to actually watch my performance fall,
Yeah.
right? And so I give it to a younger person and see that their performance might be higher than mine, and they weren't even doing something that I noticed. So if I tell them, then their performance peaks. Like it's like, wow, they were twice
Yeah.
as good as me, and now we have like four times as much stuff because, you know, synergy works that way.
Mm.
Me plus another person might be 20 niggas.
Right. Right. one hundred
Not just
percent.
like two people. And if it's through love, fuck, dude. You know what I mean? Like we saw, like there's that one dude who like took down a whole mountain so there could be a pass through it because he wasn't able to get his wife to the doctor fast enough. So instead of hate the world and hate everything, maybe he hated the mountain, right?
Mm.
I think he more loved the mountain. Like we'd have to ask him what he did, but with just a hammer, he went and built a mountain pass so that these people can be able to get to the hospital faster, so people didn't have to go around.
Right.
And I don't think you do that type of stuff through hate. Like from the story that I've read and how I've like heard the story many times, it doesn't seem like he was out there like, yo, we've got to make sure there aren't any mountains on earth because mountains are inferior to the process of reality and they're the thing bringing suffering around, like,
Right. Yeah.
nah, he was like, hey man, I'm going to make sure, like, my wife who died, no one else has to die the same way because
Mm.
I've participated in reality in such a way to bring forth something for people who aren't even me. It's not
Right.
like I'm gonna have like a second wife and bring her over this path. Like, now that I built the path, now I can go get married and not have to worry about that process anymore. He's like, no,
Yeah.
this is for you when you have the problem I ran into, so that you can make sure that you don't feel the hurt that I did because you missing out on the love that you think should be in the world because no
Right.
one
Right.
ever exhibited before you.
Yeah. And I definitely get that, and that's a pretty strong note to wrap on too, man. Just give
Yeah,
people
yeah.
an opportunity to meditate on that, and now we definitely appreciate y'all joining us too. I see Clev jumped in there closer to the end here.
Hey, what's up, Clev Pro?
Clev Pro.
That's a real one, everybody.
Yes, sir. For sure, man. Well, yeah, man, it's been fun, dude. We got it.
Absolutely.
Thinking about Love Part Two, or what you thinking for the next one?
Um, I don't know yet. I'm gonna actually listen to all of our podcasts, and then I'm gonna let the feeling come up naturally because, like,
Gotcha.
I think we have a direction. like we've always had a direction, but I think that there's like a bigger message that we've put together, and I want to like maybe talk about that because I think it's more about community. You know, as much as we might like community, I think community is a bigger term that involves love.
Yeah,
So, um, we'll talk about it like we do, and we'll come
for
up with
sure.
something. Yeah,
All right, well, we'll catch y'all later, everybody.
absolutely. Thank you guys. Hopefully, we see you guys with our love poetry stuff and all the things that we're putting together for February.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got a couple submissions in just a moment ago too, so I gotta get that stuff processed. But yeah, man, I'm really excited for that.
That's dope. Cool, man. Well, thank you, man.
For sure.